Hey folks, welcome back to Ken Michaels Radio. Where here on this channel, we talk exclusively Beatles, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes with an interesting panel. And today's show is going to be one where we're bringing back my co-hosts from Talk More Talk. And you might recall way back when, I mean, this channel's only been around for a year and a half. But show number 48, we did a show that was called Should Have Been Singles. And if you're like me, and I certainly hope your brains don't think like me, you'll know that even though the Beatles group and solo had a lot of hits, they could have had a lot more. Such was the strength of their catalog. And we did a show on songs that we felt in the United States specifically should have been singles by the Beatles as a group. And there's so many there that you can mention, and we all had great selections. And I thought, why not do a follow-up on this and go into the 70s with the solo Beatles. And the Beatles, especially in the 70s and to a lesser degree in the 80s, had so much success on the singles charts. We've talked about that on Talk More Talk quite a lot here. And so what I asked each of my colleagues here to do was to come up with a list of 10 songs from the solo Beatles. There's no rules here to follow. These are all songs that were never released as singles in the US. And it's not like you had to say, I wanted everything evenly balanced. 3 from John, 3 from Paul, 2 from George, 2 from Ringo. If you want it all to be Paul songs, that's fine with me. Total freedom here. Like Lionel Richie said, like a Sunday morning. You make up your own rules here. You can pick any 10 songs you want, as long as those were songs that weren't released as singles. And as we mentioned a few times on our podcast, and I've done this on my other podcast show, ironically, despite having so many hits in the 70s, and even you can say this about the Beatles, there were albums that had no singles. Mm-hmm. The first McCartney album didn't have a single. Wildlife didn't have a single. And certain albums only had one single that could have had more. So, you know, it all comes down to what my co-hosts here think are songs that could have done very well as singles. They don't have to be favorites of yours. Try to detach yourself from that. Just think, AM radio, top 40, or FM, the stations that played the singles in the 70s, which songs could have been hits? Which ones do you think the solo Beatles missed the boat on? Or the record company, Capitol Records, Atlantic, whatever. So what I thought we'd do is go around. Hey, I haven't even introduced you guys yet. I just figure
everyone knows
they know
who
us.
we are.
They know us.
Yeah, come on, they know us.
And everybody knows you on a first name basis, like Cher. You know.
Right.
So we do have Kid O'Toole, Queen of Beatles social media, Tom Hunyady, one half of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, and Joe Mayo of Mean Mr. Mayo's channel. They're all over the place on YouTube and all kinds of audio platforms. You know them, you love them, and we do our show Talk More Talk together. And so I just thought I'd steal them for an hour or so and talk on this fun topic. So each of you will do 5 songs a piece, and then we'll do another 5 songs a piece. Each of us have 10 songs to talk about, and let's start with Kit, as you are the queen.
All right. Now, one of these, and I thought I had marked, I noted which one it was, and I can't find it now. So one of these was actually released as a B. It was a B side. Okay. So, but I'm going to argue it should have been an A side. So it's slightly cheating.
It's not cheating. Okay. I can name a few that should have been A sides too.
Okay, good. So that's not cheating. All right, great. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. This will be. I'm just going to go with my first 5, but so this will be a little heavily Paul here, but I do have John and George selections later. So we'll go with. I love personally, but I also think it could have been a fun single. Heart of the Country. I've always loved this song from Ram. And I think, I'm not saying it would have been like, number one or anything, but I just think it was more accessible probably than some of the other songs. Like I was torn between this or Smile Away, which, Smile Away had a great rock, element to it.
Hmm.
But the lyrics are a little weird, and I thought, don't know if that would be commercial. I'm not sure.
Junior's
I
Farm.
wish you would have picked Smile Away.
Yeah.
You can't hear
I
it,
was
man. I can
torn.
smell your feet a mile away on Top 40 Radio. Come on.
Just thought, is that commercial? I don't know, but Heart of the Country, I think would appeal to a broader audience. I've always loved it. Another Paul song here, Get on the Right Thing. From Red Rose Speedway. I just think it's maybe cutting the first part a little bit. That first, the beginning would have to be trimmed a little bit, probably for radio airplay. It's a little long, but I just think it's a great rocker. And I think this would have made a great single for Red Rose Speedway. Again, I'm not saying any of these would have been number one hits,
Okay.
but I think it would have fit in with, the rock flavor of the time, the early 70s rock. And I just, love Paul's vocal on this. And it was catchy. I just think it was catchy as hell.
Right.
And so always like this. Next one, Mrs. Vanderbilt. I mean, why wasn't that released as a single? I mean, it kills in concert.
Right.
It kills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great choice.
it was a single all over Europe.
Yeah, yep. So, but not in America, and so, why wasn't it released here as a single? I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. It's got that, great sing-along aspect, and I mean, people will just go crazy for it in concert. And every time I've seen him live when he plays it, I'm like, why? Why? It just is just so catchy. Number 4 now. I probably have a little, bias here, but Girlfriend.
Oh.
I think it's got a nice catchiness to it, and it does fit the late 70s soft rock kind of element that was big at the time.
Okay.
And it's got, that catchy melody to it. I know I'm going to have eggs thrown at me now, but I do like Michael Jackson's version better. But I
It
do
has
like.
been Ken Michael's Radio here.
Look at the time.
And it's the first version I ever heard. Michael's was the first version I ever heard. But I do like Paul's for other reasons too. And I just think it's, it's just his typical, great pop. Great pop song. And again, I just think I could see it doing well on, certainly adult contemporary. And as I said, 78, adult or soft rock was certainly big at the time. And finally, now we're moving into John territory here, Jealous Guy. I mean, why wasn't that a single? In fact, it's one of those songs that you look back and you're like, it wasn't a single.
It's emerged as a classic.
Right.
It has.
Right.
And it's just shocking that it wasn't, because it just seems like it just naturally would have been.
Right.
It's absolutely a classic. I think it's one of his finest songs. And even though it's confessional, it still has commercial appeal. I mean, it still has that sheen to it, with the strings and so forth, that it's confessional, but it's still
Right.
easy on the ears.
Right.
So
when I discovered that song in '88 from the Imagine John Lennon film, I got the soundtrack, and I'm like, yeah, same as you. I'm learning that it wasn't a single, and I learned that all the songs, not all the songs, but quite a few of the songs that were on that soundtrack were not singles.
Yeah, and it's just shocking.
And it's just shocking. It is. It was really shocking to discover that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have hurt the single at all that it was confessional. I mean, look at Woman.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it still had, because like I was looking at songs off of Plastic Ono Band, and as great as that album was and is, there just aren't many songs that I'd be like, yeah, that's a top 10 hit, because it's just a little too raw.
Yeah, and too rough, I think.
But
Not all of it. I have one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
do
one
you?
too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I've got one too.
okay. This will be
Imagine.
interesting. But I just think,
Well,
but Jealous
maybe I'll
Guy's
skip
got that nice balance. It's confessional, but it's still,
Mhm.
it's accessible.
Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts on Kit's picks?
Smile Away was interesting. I mean, I was looking at Ram because we all know, we only got technically one single from Ram, even though Another Day was, during those sessions. And I was, considering Smile Away for sure. Unfortunately, I went a different direction, but
well, I
Smile
didn't pick
Away, I
Smile
think,
Away.
right.
Yeah, I
Well,
didn't end
yeah,
up going with
yeah.
it.
But I mean, you brought it
yeah.
up, so I
I
mean,
brought it up.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, it was one that I was considering for
Me
sure.
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Mm.
Well,
Joe?
they're good choices. I think I agree with just about all of them. I thought maybe Get on the Right Thing though. It didn't strike me as too commercial, but I mean, I like the track, but I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah, I was kind of torn about it because, boy, narrowing this down was tough. I had like
Yeah.
25 songs.
Uh,
And I'm like, oh man, I've got some cutting down to do. But I've just always liked, I think the beginning really grabs you. I like that, although it would have to be trimmed probably for radio airplay just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't know, it's just always a song that's really grabbed me for some reason. And I just think, this might work as a single.
yeah.
But mhm.
I like your choices a lot there, Kid. I think Get on the Right Thing. Paul has this habit every now and then on the piano. He does these octaves, da, da, da,
Yeah.
da,
Yeah.
and what he plays with it just fits. In this case, certainly the introduction. It's rollicking piano
Yeah.
on the song. And I think I pointed this out, but Red Rose Speedway is another album where you could have had more than one single. We only had My Love.
Right.
Yeah.
But what can you do? He had Live and Let Die.
We die right on the heels. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that had to come out. So the other songs on Red Rose Speedway lost out. Girlfriend is a very interesting pick. I mean, I like Michael Jackson's version too. It's
Mhm.
interesting that you're talking about the soft rock times, and yeah, I can see that happening, especially since With a Little Luck was soft
Yeah.
rock, and that hit
Yeah.
number one. Although the title track to London Town was also released as a single, and that was soft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't do that well, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Good point.
possibility there for Girlfriend.
Mhm.
Okay, next we'll go to Joe, your top five, not top five.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, some 5 here. I have one that kid had. Surprise, surprise. I have more than 10, so maybe I had Heart of the Country. Same
Wow.
reasons Kit said. I thought that was a great
You have great taste,
choice.
Joe.
I know we seem to have a lot of great taste together, you and I.
We do.
So,
We're in sync.
yeah. So I don't know if you want to count that one or not, but I think that's
Sure.
I was
Sure.
a natural for a single. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure. To start out with, and I wanted to do something that was obvious to everybody, and we were discussing a little before we were recording about this. I wanted to pick the 1970 version of Maybe I'm Amazed.
Mhm.
It seems an obvious one, right? I don't know why pick the obvious, but it's so strong. Uh, now of course we think of it as such a great classic. Would at the time as a single, would we have thought? I think so. I think it would have done amazingly well.
Mhm.
And I mean, I love the song. Whenever I'm trying to think of, if somebody asks me, "What's do you think is Paul's best song?" It's impossible, right? Because
Mhm.
he's got so many we love. But that always comes up there for me. That one, along with songs that are commonly thought of as great Paul songs, his best songs, if you will.
Yeah.
Take like the 500 or so on the side and try to pick it down to a few. But always songs like they have something in common. I'm noticing for me, like songs that get mentioned are like "Let It Be," "Here, There, and Everywhere," "Yesterday," "For No One," "Maybe I'm Amazed." Then I'm noticing they're all more personal. They're deeper songs about situations, and like more than just. I hate to use the joke, silly love songs, which I love,
Uh-huh.
silly love songs. gets a bad rap these days. I love that song.
Me too.
But I figured, well, that's weird. Those are the ones that often get mentioned as his best, and they have that kind of feeling to them. They're more personal, a little more profound. So anyway,
Okay.
and I could easily go all Paul here, as I'm sure we all could, because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But I want to pick a one that I know comes up all the time. We've talked about this. I feel like we've done this show in different formats with different shows, because I always pick George's "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long."
Mhm.
And we talk about it's like that is such a natural single. I mean, not that I don't love. I love "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth," which is a great choice too. It's maybe my favorite George single, but it's only natural, because "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long" is so commercial sounding, so a mid tempo, moves along nice. I think it's perfect for like an AM radio of 1973 kind of song, and some we talk about surprises. You can't believe they didn't think of this, or why?
Yeah.
That's a natural. All right, so I have three now. I'm also gonna pick another George song here. I'm gonna pick "If Not for You," his version of it, "If Not
Mm.
for You," from "All Things Must Pass," the Dylan song. I mean, you could pick a lot of tracks from "All Things Must Pass,"
Oh,
Sure.
but boy, that would be a natural hit, I think, at the time when that album was out.
Mhm.
And you have, Dylan, of course, his version, Olivia Newton-John, Tom, Olivia Newton-John, yeah.
Olivia too.
It's just so so
but she when she did her version, it was more like George's than it was like
That's true.
Dylan's.
interesting. Yeah.
And she also recorded "What Is Life."
And Behind That Locked Door.
There you go.
Wow,
he's awesome.
didn't know that. I
Olivia
got to
must have
check those out.
Right.
Let's see. I have one, two. I can't count, folks. One, two, three, and four. And boy, I could go all over the place here. Let's go with a John song. Now, I had said I had one from Plastic Ono Band, but it was released later. Does that count? I mean, in the '80s. If it was already released,
No. Well, if it was released as a single in the '80s, you could pick. These are songs that weren't
yeah.
released in the
Right.
70s.
Well, I mean, Love, even though Love is
Yeah.
slow,
Mm-hmm.
but you'd have to do something like they wound up doing, where they kind of like fix the beginning so that it come right into the song, kind of, because that slow buildup wouldn't work well,
Yeah.
I don't think, on radio. But there's a song that it doesn't have so much of that, angst and tough feelings and John's pain and everything. But I mean, he had "Mother" was a single, and I think that's a terrible choice as a
Mhm.
single. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times George didn't really, John, excuse me, didn't have like the best idea. He said at times he could never tell. I remember on the Dennis Elsis interview, I could never tell which one could be commercial
Mhm.
when he's trying to pick one. They told him, "Whatever gets you through the night." So they told me that one.
Right.
So, it's hard to believe. I
Yeah.
sometimes think Paul doesn't have the best idea all the time
Right.
That's
of
true.
of
Yep.
his material. You know,
Hmm.
but I think that's five if I'm adding right. One,
Yeah. All
two,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case
yeah,
anyone doesn't know, "Love" was released as a single in the '80s, and
Right.
they brought the full volume up of the
yeah,
intro from the
Yes.
very beginning. It's so
Right.
different after years and years of hearing the fade up.
yeah.
I kind of like that because Elton John has his like love song from Tumbleweed Connection, which kind of does the same thing, has that slow fade in as well, and I kind of like that. I always get weirded out when I hear that come in so quickly.
Mhm.
I love just like that slow build to that song, so I think that's a good choice. Myself, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I wanted
Uh,
something to be represented for that. For John, I have a few other ones I
Yeah,
thought were even
mm,
better, but I figured something from Plastic Ono Band maybe.
absolutely.
Mhm.
yeah. Don't Let Me Wait Too Long was definitely in my initial list.
Right.
I had to when I had to cut it down, but that was in there. I agree with you. That's a
Yeah.
should have been single.
From my
Absolutely.
understanding, that was in talks to be a single.
That's what I
Really?
remember hearing too.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
and then just pulled at the last minute for whatever reason.
Were they gonna do Try Some, Buy Some? I know that was Ronnie Spector
Right.
put
That
that
was
out.
a
That was
single
never,
for
was that in
her.
contention ever for a single for George?
Never.
Not for George.
No,
No.
no, but
And
Don't Let Me Wait
oh.
Too Long makes the most sense.
yeah.
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 it's a good single.
And if not for you, as you were talking about it, I was thinking, yeah, I mean, that would have been a nice single because it would fit in kind of with the country rock direction that the 70s was going in. So I think that would,
Right.
that would fit in with AM radio. Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah, it really fit AM radio because it wasn't too hard a song. It was very acoustic driven.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that could have worked too, as well as being so accepted on rock radio. Because All Things Must Pass, I remember just when it came out, rock radio playing most of the tracks,
Mhm.
and in heavy rotation. It wasn't just My Sweet Lord and What Is Life.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, Tom, you are next.
All right, thank you. Well, George needs more singles. It's just such a shame that his greatest hits got so mangled like it did, with half being Beatles and half being actual solo songs. And
Yep.
to be honest with you, there was only like 2 or 3 more that you could have put on there, like this guitar, and maybe one other one. But just to have 2 singles from All Things Must Pass, I think was a crying shame. You had from February to July to maybe, from when the Bangladesh song was released, you can maybe have squeezed one more single in there. And my pick for that single would have been the title song, All Things Must Pass. It's just, I think it's a powerful song, and I think it's musically, I think it's perfection. George, I think, is in fine voice too. But lyrically, I don't know if it fits like a commercial type thing. But but it has that kind of country-ish type thing from the early 70s as well. And I would put that with the B side of "I Live for You," because, as we know, we didn't get that until the 30th anniversary. So I kind of like paired these with B sides too, myself. But then it's again, his next album, "Living in the Material World." It's a damn shame that there was just one single for that, like we talked about. Now, yes, I think the clear choice is "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long," but I have always wondered if he would hit it again with a kind of Lord type song.
Yeah.
So for me, the next one I picked was "The Lord Loves the One," as maybe a follow-up to "Give Me Love." And then I would have backed that with "Be Here Now." And I gotta tell you, I haven't listened to "Be Here Now" in a while, and I was like, this is such a beautiful song. Why am I not listening to this song more often?
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful musically too. It's beautiful. But "The Lord Loves the One." It's catchy. It's got a good drum part to it. Horns throughout, Kit. And his guitar work
And me.
throughout. Yeah,
Yeah.
his guitar work in there, I think, is pretty good as well. Moving on to 33 to Third. Now, yeah, we had 2 singles there, but I thought maybe we can get one more in there. And I thought "Women Don't You Cry for Me," I think maybe could have made a nice third single for George for that album, and then maybe back it with "Pure Smoky." Very funky song. I think you got a lot of that there in the mid 70s, with the funk, paramelic, funkadelic, stuff like that was starting to get popular then. And I
Definitely
think,
the B side
yeah, well,
for me.
but "Woman Don't You Cry," I think would have made a nice little single for George. Maybe not top 10, but maybe top 20. Who knows? Now imagine, getting to John. And again, he's someone else that, he really did imply the theory that the Beatles did, singles that weren't from albums. He did that quite often at the first half of the 70s. Paul did that a little bit too throughout the 70s. But but to have only one single from Imagine, I think is just a crying shame.
Yes.
And like we talked about, Kit, you had Jealous Guy. I put How. I thought that was, again, just like Confessional, maybe like Jealous Guy, but the orchestration on that I thought is very catchy, maybe very, very commercial. And his singing is not as powerful. It's kind of more mellow on that one, maybe more approachable. You're not too scared of John's vocals on this one, maybe like you would be on like Mother or something like that towards the end of Mother, So, but How for me would be, I think, a nice follow up to Imagine. And then Mind Games, again, why only one single on Mind Games?
Mhm.
So I would have put Out the Blue as a follow-up single. I just think it's a great story song in the same vein as Battle of John and Yoko, New York City. It could have been like a trilogy, right there, and just finish that kind of like that early part of the 70s. And then I backed that with Rock and Roll People, since that since that was in the same sessions, and then we wouldn't have to wait until Men Love Avenue to get that. So that
Then
was.
then what were we put out in '86?
Well, true, but we didn't know what was
No,
going to
yeah,
happen to
no,
John either at this
I
time.
know.
Yeah, so I had All Things Must Pass, The Lord Loves the One, A Woman Don't You Cry, How, and Out the Blue are my first
Well,
five.
The one with when you say the the Lord loves the one. I'm trying
Right.
to get the song. The Lord loves the one who loves the
Yeah, the
Lord. in
Lord, right.
Parentheses.
Right.
Yeah, it's so catchy, and I like what you said. The idea maybe kind of like bouncing off the success of My Sweet
My
Lord.
Sweet Lord, right? Exactly.
Mhm.
Maybe he could. Because
It's
first
not
I
too
think that's
preachy
can't
either.
get
I
away
don't think
with
it's too preachy. Kind of like My Sweet Lord isn't too preachy either. I don't know. Maybe.
I think
don't
it is a little preachy
I
though.
don't
That
know.
one.
That song is very preachy.
know.
Yeah, I think when he says the Lord says if you don't, what does he say? If you
Yeah.
don't,
Okay. Yeah.
you don't get love and
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't get loving.
Right. Yeah, I guess it is a little on more on the preacher side. I mean, that
But
album was accused of being kind of preachy,
It
for that
was.
whole
it's a
album.
good choice. I think I really like good choice.
Yeah.
Out the Blue was one of my finalists too, and I think that would have been a nice, and kind of like How. I mean, a nice change of pace. Instead of releasing, I guess John didn't release all rocker
Right.
singles, but it does reveal a more tender side, and it's, and as you said, I like how you described Out the Blue as a story song.
Right.
I think that's a nice way to put it. So it definitely shows a different side, and that might
Right.
grab people's
Right.
attention on
Right.
the radio. So that definitely was one of my
Right.
finalists. Yeah.
And ballads are always big business, no matter
Yep.
what decade you're
You bet.
talking about. Ballads always do well.
Yep.
Especially with big productions like that. Close to You. Look how big that song was. And that's kind of has, that
That's
big
a great song.
production
Yes.
on there as well.
You bet.
See, this is interesting because we all have different sets of ears here. We all hear something different. And it's difficult for me to talk about a song like Out the Blue, which is one of my favorite John Lennon songs, but at the same time, I can't see it being a hit. Just having listened to AM radio, at the time, knowing what was played, you really have to have a mind for what was very catchy, what would stick in your head after one or two listens. And don't get me wrong, there's so much in this solo catalog that I dearly love as album cuts. And I'm really happy that Out the Blue is getting more recognition through the years. It's just what we hear in our own ears, like I said, what we think was commercial enough where it could have been a hit. I really couldn't see The Lord Loves the One being a hit, but
Well, you got to think My Ding-a-Ling.
Deep stuff like
deep
that.
Deep stuff.
Yeah. Or The Streak.
Yeah.
I love The Streak.
That's novelty, really.
That's this thing on 2 feet.
Really well.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just standing over there by the debaters.
It is. Those novelty songs, they're good.
Ray Stevens was great at doing it. I love Jim Stafford stuff with the 70s too.
I love
Mhm.
spiders and snakes.
You're not supposed to love spiders and snakes.
Oh well. I don't like spiders and snakes, but I like the songs. Spiders and snakes.
All right, so my first five. Like you, Tom, how can you possibly only have two singles from All Things Must Pass? And I do remember so vividly, like I said, rock radio playing so many of the tracks. At the time, I think it shocked the world that George was capable of putting out so much great material
Right.
at once. But the one song that leaps out at me that I've always felt should have been a single from there is "Awaiting on You All."
Mhm.
It's under 3 minutes long. It's catchy as hell. It's got the Phil Spector production. If you love My Sweet Lord, if you love the messages of the spiritual stuff of All Things Must Pass on the album, how can you not be hooked on "Awaiting on You All," which got a ton of airplay on rock radio. I remember it like it was yesterday. And that's one that just sticks out like a sore thumb. All
I
Things
think-
Must Pass. I'm wondering about All Things Must Pass as a single, though, because I'm also likening it sometimes as much as I love the message of that song. It also has sort of a gospel feel.
Mhm.
So if Let It Be can work in 1970
Yeah.
and Bridge Over Troubled Waters can
Right.
do so well in 1970,
Why can't All Things Must
that's
Pass?
possibly could have been
Yeah.
a hit record.
Mhm.
But as far as catchy, bam, bam, hits you in the head. We're waiting on you all. I don't know how you could pass on that one. I also put Don't Let Me Wait Too Long. I don't know, that's another one where it just takes a few listens and you're hooked. His guitar playing is excellent on it. It was tailor made for being a single. And
Yeah.
and you all know how Living in a Material World is my favorite album of all time. And yeah, thank you for saying what you said about Be Here Now, which is a masterpiece. But so many of those songs are very heavy, and it's being deeply personal. And I think, the songs that I love the most, The Light That Has Lighted the World and Who Can See It and Be Here Now would never have made singles to me. But yeah, Don't Let Me Wait Too Long, definitely. I would have loved if That Is All was a hit. If That Is
Yeah.
All was a single and it was a big hit, it would be a standard today. I really do. I really think that highly of That Is All. But my second choice, Don't Let Me Wait Too Long. My third choice from the Imagine album is Oh Yoko.
Mm.
Oh Yoko is such a commercial song, and it's another one where you listen to it once or twice and you know how the song goes. I suppose maybe because there might be a backlash because Yoko's name is in it, that might have
Right.
hurt for the
Right.
people that didn't like Yoko. But just as a song itself, hearing it a few times and little kids listening to Top 40 radio, not understanding whatever animosity some Beatles fans had at the time and still do towards Yoko, not deserved at all. But yeah, Oh Yoko was supposed to be the second single from that album, and
No.
John vetoed against it. It didn't
Oh, wow.
what he thought was his hard image, as a rocker. But Imagine wasn't a rocker.
Yeah, that's
So,
hard to understand.
he should have
I
released.
have it on my list, Ken, too,
Okay.
as one of the songs. Yeah.
Okay. I also put another John song in there, which happened to be a B-side.
Hmm.
What You Got.
Yeah.
What You
Oh,
Got really grabs you, and it's got that great R&B feel,
Yeah.
and John's vocals are just amazing on it. Baby, 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 give me one more chance.
Yeah.
And that's just a B-side.
Right.
What's the matter? Why couldn't they make that the third single? I know there were two hits from the album with Whatever Gets You Through the Night and Number 9 Dream. And when it comes to Walls and Bridges, there are other songs that I just devour, like Scared and Stealing Glass. Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out. But I couldn't see those as singles. But
No.
What You Got, I mean, it's we're gonna say catchy as hell like 100 times.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, and that's what you need. That is a quality that you need to have a hit record. If you can remember how the song goes in one or two listens, that's a winner. And my fifth choice is one that we've mentioned several times on our show, Talk More Talk, and that's Tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, Tomorrow, there's no other song on Wildlife that I would pick as
Yeah.
a single. As much as I love Some People Never Know, which is kind of slow and goes on very long, that would have to be edited. I couldn't see Dear Friend as a single. I couldn't see Wildlife. Well, Love is Strange, which was touted as a single, I could possibly see. But Tomorrow, I think, would have been a stronger choice. It's got that 3.5 minute Paul at the piano belting out his vocals, kind of oh darling-ish in a way. And it's really catchy, and the harmonies are great with Linda on the song. I absolutely love Tomorrow. That's another wasted opportunity. For what's been said about Wildlife not performing well on the charts, it still went to number 10 and not even using Paul's name on the record, which may have hurt the record sales. If Tomorrow was a single, I think it would have at least went top 20 at the very least. I think it would have definitely helped the record sales of that album for Wildlife. So my first 5, Waiting on You All, Don't Let Me Wait Too Long, Oh Yoko, What You Got, and Tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Waiting for You All as well. The only thing I see, the reason why I think maybe I didn't pick that was the whole Pope quote. I think maybe that kind of scares or alienates a fan base, but being front and center. But I think it's a great song. I love that he chose that for Bangladesh to perform.
Yeah.
And it kind of would he have another kind of Lord type song be a success after My Sweet Lord? Kind of like what I was thinking for with my pick. I'm always curious if he could have struck gold again on another song like that. But I think Waiting for You All is a great song.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One thing about what you said about the line about the Pope, when that album came out, the lyrics in that part of the song were not
right
on there, and a lot of people didn't know what George was saying. Myself,
not on the lyrics.
Right.
For years and years, we didn't know exactly what George was singing at that moment. So I don't think that would have offended anybody, since most people didn't hear it.
Right.
Okay. All right. On to the next 5. This time we'll let Tom lead.
All right. Thank you. Now we got Paul and Ringo on the back 5 here. Excuse me. Like you, Ken, Tomorrow, we've talked about this, and I've talked about this on my other show too, but it was tailor-made for top 40 radio, AM radio. I mean, the harmonies alone, this is showcasing what Wings was going to be for the rest of the decade, in my opinion. The song Tomorrow, just a beautifully sung, great backing vocals. And then I put as the B-side Love is Strange, because if he's so high on it, then why not just if it was a proposed single, let him have it on the B-side. But Tomorrow is absolutely the most commercial of the songs there. Now moving on to Venus and Mars. Now I like Letting Go. I like Call Me Back just a little bit better. I would switch those two out as I think I would put that as the single rather than Letting Go. I just think Paul's those rough kind of oh darling vocals. It's still got some great horns in there. It still has some great Jimmy guitar in there, but I just find it a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more commercial than Letting Go. As much as I like Letting Go, for me, Letting Go went to 39, but I think Call Me Back maybe could have done a little bit better, especially with those rip-roaring vocals from Paul on that track. I think that would have been a great follow-up to Listen to What the Man Said. We talk about the McCartney record, right? No single, even though there was a promotional video for Maybe I'm Amazed. But I went with Every Night as a single. And I think it would have fit in right in with that early singer-songwriter period then, and they're right in the early 70s. Would fit right in there with the James Taylor stuff, maybe, the Dylans or the, Joni Mitchell, all of that stuff from the early 70s, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Ringo was tough and easy.
Yeah, and I had a tough time only because I thought I thought of his albums
Right.
that
Right.
they kind of released
Right.
enough singles, except
Right.
one
See,
I thought of.
and then you got the Ringo album, right? It's got 3 singles already. Could there have been a fourth? I think so. I think I'm the Greatest is a strong tailored for Ringo, and I think if presented, properly, given a cool promotional video, maybe toured around all, late night talk shows or whatever like that, or the variety shows. I think it could have been a fourth hit for Ringo. And I would have backed it with Monkey See, or no, I'm sorry, with, You and Me, Babe, because that wasn't on a single. But yeah, I think that would have been a great way to close out the whole Ringo, the first album. I think it's just a strong song, and it fits Ringo perfectly. Then for me, how that later period of the 70s, I know we talked about, what could have, Ringo have done to, have a better second half of the 70s. And I just don't know if the songs that were on those albums were strong enough. The one that just comes to my mind is the song Tonight from Bad Boy. I just think it's a good song for him. Again, ballads during that time were huge. I mean, Bee Gees were having, big hits with ballads. I mean, everybody was having big hits with ballads then, and it fits that era as well for me. And then I would have backed it with Monkey See, Monkey Do. But I just think Tonight would have been a top 40 for Ringo. I don't know. We don't know because
Radio.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Radio wasn't playing him. Would they have played that song? Maybe. But again, we don't know.
Mhm.
Some of those singles of Ringo's, I mean, I get some of them mixed up, like on Portrait Records, like
Right.
why do I think that Tonight might have been on a single, but I don't know if it
Well,
was
it
an
was a
A-side or a
European. It was
B-side.
it was
Yeah.
released in Europe.
Europe. I was in Europe.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
This is how it
Yeah.
gets confusing.
Right.
Yeah, really does.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the videos that Ringo
Mhm.
made, he made videos for songs that were singles in Europe, and
Right.
some-
Yeah. I remember the video, because we've
Yeah.
talked about that. Tom, I know
Yeah.
that's like a favorite
Right.
of yours, Tom. You mentioned it before. I think when we talk about the
Mhm.
Yeah.
promo films.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you give your 5? Because I did want to
Yeah.
comment on
Yeah. No, I
something
did. I'm the
before.
Greatest, Tonight, Every Night, Call Me Back Again, and Tomorrow for my.
See, I
my
wanted to
top
say,
5.
I love Call Me Back Again
Me
on
too.
the album,
Hmm.
but I just can't see it myself as a single.
Yeah, that's fine.
It
Yeah.
Yeah,
seems a
that
little,
was
I
many
don't
of
know
it's
why.
so funny. Many of your songs were were on that 25 list. Yeah,
Right.
Tomorrow, same
Right.
as you can.
Yeah, I have a bunch
Um,
of too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Call Me Back Again. I really wavered between that and some other
Oh,
Paul songs. Because I do love that song too. It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's got that old darling kind of feel
Right.
to it, like his vocals on that. Tonight, that
Mhm.
was another of Ringo's. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that could have been, as you said, I mean, maybe not top 10.
Right.
But
that's a real good choice. I mean,
mhm,
I wonder if that would have done something. If they
yeah.
pushed,
I
if they
like,
pushed it enough.
but unfortunately, at the time, his radio
Right.
revenue was dwindling, and it didn't
Yeah,
matter how good his singles were.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
yeah. Okay, I would like to comment about "I'm the Greatest"
Yeah.
because, as far as I can recall, we never had any album have 4 singles from it until Rumors.
Mhm.
So I just think, at the time to have 3 singles from an album, and Ben on the Run had it too. That was like the max that I can recall from any
Yeah.
album. And prior to that, you were lucky if you had 2 hits from an album.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it's
true.
just a matter of that time, what was done. So, yeah. Joe, you are next.
All right. I was thinking of John from the Rock and Roll album, and he had "Stand by Me" as a
Hmm.
single, and I started thinking "Bebopalula" maybe because of this the Happy Days craze, and it's a rock around the clock. That was really 74. This is like
Hmm.
the Rock and Roll album, I think, was February 75, but it's still that kind of revival era
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought that might have been a good, oldies cover if you're going to promote the album. I don't know. That's one. Another one, George, If You Believe. I always like the sound of that song, and and I say a lot about sometimes tempo of
Yeah.
a song too. A commercial hit, and it's also a positive song. About building up your confidence and stuff. I like the message in the song. I know it's not the first time I've mentioned this, whatever context, I don't know, but I feel like I've mentioned these songs. And I think that's a pretty good choice. I just want to say I'm going to skip over some of these because I had some of the similar ones, but since I had extras, why not go
Yeah.
with that? I mean, I had
Sure.
Tomorrow, I had Oyoko, I had Every Night as possibilities, but I also had Eat at Home, which I think was a single elsewhere,
All over Europe.
right? Yeah,
All over Europe.
yeah, that I mean, the same thing. It's as like Don't Let Me Wait Too Long. It's a driving, poppy, catchy
Mhm.
song. That's what I would go for first, for the most part, with the exception of John Lennon's Love that I picked, which is not a zippy
Mm.
song. All right, so three. So I'm going to save the best for last, but I got one before the last one. I have a few picks here. Let's go with. Now I'm wondering. For John, I'm wondering if New York City could have been a single because there was. What are you going to plug from that album, really? I mean, the
Yeah.
one they put out, "Woman Is the Blank of the World," wasn't
Mhm.
exactly commercial friendly. New York City, maybe also not commercial friendly, but I'm trying to see if I was listening to AM radio then, would that be single material? Nah,
I thought about that.
you
I thought
know.
about that one. Yeah,
Again,
that'd
it's
be the most of that album. That's the most
Yeah,
accessible.
and
That's for
thinking about the
sure.
album,
Mhm,
represent the album, we have to put a single out. What would we put out as
mhm.
so I was thinking of that one. And I save the best for last. From Paul. Magneto and Titanium Man.
Oh, oh my God, you did it.
It's
Just for you, kid.
it's
Just for you.
Oh, swell.
one of Kit's least favorite
My
songs.
favorite.
Yeah, I just.
Thank
Do you
you,
agree,
Joe.
Kit? Do you agree? Even if you
Thank you,
don't like it,
Joe.
you think it might have been a hit or no?
I
Oh,
don't know if it would
well,
have been a hit, but
even you admit it, Tom. Even you admit it
Oh, I
might
think
have
so. I
not
it's
been a
think
catchy
hit.
though.
so.
It's a catchy
It's
tune.
catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I wondered if that was going to come up.
yeah, I put it. I'm sorry. I put it on my list.
That's
I thought it'd be
okay.
fun,
I
fun
still
too
love
for
you,
the
Joe.
show. But I do think it's a catchy commercially kind of song. The kids would love it.
Yep.
So repeat your second list of five there, Joe. What were they?
Oh, you're killing me.
Bebop?
Bebop, If You Believe,
Uh-huh.
Eat at Home, New York City, and Magneto.
Yeah, New York City, to me, it's kind of like the Ballad of John and Yoko, the
The
continuation
story.
of their lives.
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I could see that as a single. That's
Well,
the
the
only
Pope
song.
is in their lyrics too, but then
Right.
again, this is John we're talking about. Whether would it get
Right.
the airplay? I
Right.
just thought of that now. Pope smokes dope every
Right.
day.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if John Sinclair could have been a single, but you got all that
Got to
Yeah, I don't
got
know
to
about
got
Yeah.
that
to.
part.
might have been annoying to
I mean,
some.
I never tell you the truth. I never minded that
Yeah.
when I'm listening to it on the album, but as a single, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
The first two times I don't mind it. It's when you get to the the third.
I love the slide guitar.
Oh,
playing.
Me
it's beautiful.
too.
It's excellent. Excellent.
And
Well,
Bye Bye Blackbird for Ringo.
Yep.
I wanted to give Ringo a shout out there. So
There
that's
you
my only
go.
Ringo pick. Bye Bye
all right,
Blackbird. I
kid,
threw one in.
the world is waiting.
Okay. All right. Some of these may be controversial, but a couple will definitely not be because they've already been mentioned. Okay, this one I kind of went back and forth on, but back to the Imagine album.
Say it.
Give Me Some Truth. I
Oh,
love this song. Now, I know it was, it's very political, but there were many other political songs at that time that were released and did well. And so, and I know considering what John was going through. You know,
Hmm.
at that time, maybe he would have been a little reluctant to release it as a single. But it's just, I mean, it's one of his finest vocal performances. You've got George's nasty guitar in it. And as I say, it was a timely song. You could say that. So there may have been, I mean, I think people would have picked up on it and may have really, latched onto it. And it just, it's a great rocker if you just want to look at it that way. And it's another one that it's kind of amazing as it's become such a classic
Yeah.
that it's amazing it wasn't a single, that it's because it's just been so ingrained in us. So that's one. Okay, this is another one I kind of went back and forth on. You know how much I love Bless You from Walls and Bridges.
Hmm.
I just think it's such a great ballad. And I just thought, it's like adult contemporary. It definitely fits into soft rock, the soft rock category. I mean, it sounds very of its time in terms of, with the synth, the keyboards and it just I don't know. I just think it could work, as I said, particularly on adult contemporary. But it's just such a stunning ballad that and as Tom said, ballads are big.
Yep.
So,
I wouldn't have bought it when I was 12.
yeah, well, maybe not 12. Yeah, maybe it's a little more adult.
It's for an adult. It's for an
Right.
adult.
It's for the housewife.
It's for the housewife. My God.
Well, house husband.
Watching
Right.
soap operas during the day.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Next one. Okay, let's get to George here. Ken, you have wonderful taste. You really do.
Yeah.
Waiting on You All.
Oh.
I picked that. Now, I get your point, about the lyrical content, is there too much of the same kind of theme? But it's just, I mean, from the get-go,
Uh-huh.
from the very beginning, I mean, you can almost hear as the song starts playing, the DJ over it saying, and now here's the latest single from George Harrison. I mean, it's just that commercial sounding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great single. It would have made a wonderful single.
That's him talking it up. And here we are, WABC.
Can't you hear
it?
You don't need a love that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just hear it as the song starts. I
Yeah,
mean, it would have been a great single. I mean, it's another one of those where you're like, this wasn't a single. I mean, it's just such a great song. Grabs you from the very start. Has that big, as you said, big Phil Spector production. Maybe Ken, you should make this a drinking game as to how many times we say "catchy as hell." But 2 drinks or something.
We won't get out of here alive.
Take a
What?
shot.
Well,
Yeah,
this
take
would
a shot every time
it'd
we
be
say-
Blotto Beatles if we did that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But it is catchy as hell. I
Yeah.
mean, great positive message. I mean, it's, what more do you want? It's
Mhm.
just wonderful. Another George, hit 1979, the George Harrison album. This was another one that I'm like, wow, this wasn't a single. Here Comes the Moon. I've always thought that's such a beautiful song. And I thought, well, Blow Away, even though it was faster,
Mhm.
obviously, Blow Away, was a single and did, it wasn't a humongous hit, but it did well. And this has kind of that same, again, soft kind of, maybe a yacht rocky kind of sound to it. But I know you don't love
hate
that
that
term. I know you don't. I embrace it. I was partially raised on yacht rock, but and I seriously, I like the genre, but it might have fit in with that kind of, but also just in general the soft rock kind of movement, and I just think it's a beautiful song.
What are some of the great yacht rock bands out there? Seals and
Mhm.
Croft, maybe.
Yes.
No, that would fall under the Steely Dan fits.
Mhm.
Fall It Up,
Firefall.
Orleans,
Mhm.
Firefall, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Christopher Cross.
I personally
Yacht
grew
rock.
up on this stuff, so I'm serious. I really enjoyed. So that could, fit in there. And finally, Tom, you also have fabulous
I know.
taste.
I know.
You're like, tell me something I don't know. Ringo, let's give Ringo a shout out here. I'm the greatest. And Ken, point taken that that would have been a lot of singles from one album, but that just did seem like that would have been such a good single for Ringo, because I mean, John just knew how, just like George did, knew how to
Right.
write for Ringo. It fit his personality. And come on, I mean, that and all I want to do is boogaloo. I
Boogaloo,
mean,
yeah.
what a great catchphrase. And you even hear John on the single. I mean, so that would have been appealing, obviously, to a lot of people. It's one of my favorite Ringo songs. And I just thought, wow, why wasn't this released? But good point. I actually didn't think about that was kind of unusual for the time. I mean, I think of like, the Thriller album where there were like 7 singles off of that.
Right. Yeah, come the 80s, it just seemed like, the hysteria, Def Leppard's Hysteria was, it seemed like there was, every song was a single. It seemed like,
Michael Jackson continued with that.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so that doesn't seem unusual to me at all, but true, back then that was not really done. So, yep. So, okay. So give me some truth. Bless you. Waiting on you all. Here comes the moon, and I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I love Give Me Some Truth. And I think that song has definitely become a classic, partly because people are always fed up with their politicians and not trusting
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
And
it's timeless.
Same as it was 50 years ago as it is now. But I don't know if Top 40 Radio would have played a song with Tricky Dicky in the lyrics.
That's the only thing that made me hesitate a bit naming it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that would have been too touchy at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. And I love Bless You a lot as a song. I don't know, sometimes it may be too soft or too laid back for Top 40 Radio. But then again, one of my favorite singers, Roberta Flack.
Good point.
You've got, The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face.
I was just thinking of that.
Songs.
Yeah.
Gorgeous song.
Yes,
gorgeous voice, and yet that was a #1 hit. So
yeah,
point.
I was going to say I can't see "Bless You" as a single on the radio, and then I'm thinking now what other slow songs that's Ken's Talk. I'm thinking, oh wait, and I thought of that song, although arguably that has more of a catchy melody.
Gorgeous melody.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
To me, kind of like a very sparse production where the melody really stands out.
The Bless You's not necessarily, in my opinion, much of a melody.
I think the Play Misty movie helped that song a little bit too. The Roberta Flack song, and she's my favorite female singer of all time.
Oh, she's incredible.
Yeah, Roberta Flack is my favorite.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm learning a lot.
I mean, even though even though Olivia is, I love Olivia, but you got to give it to Roberta. I mean, that woman can sing.
There's a new documentary coming out on her, by the way.
Oh, really?
I think on PBS.
I'll look that up. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Not yet, but maybe
I
don't know. Maybe next year. I'm not sure, but yeah,
that'd be great.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely one of the best.
Yep, for sure.
I like too many female singers. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Barbra Streisand or Roberta Flack.
Yep.
And both. I do love Olivia.
Yep.
Anyway, so my last 5, Cafe on the Left Bank. I always thought that song should have been the second single following With a Little Luck. As much as I like I've Had Enough. I've had enough. I like the song. It seems to lack, it needs another guitar in there. It needs some more balls in it.
I agree.
Have that full sound.
I don't know. I like that a lot. It's funny because I hear whenever it comes up, not because it doesn't come up every day.
Yeah.
Whenever that song comes up in solo Beatles discussions, a lot of people feel that way about it. I always find myself saying, "Oh, I like it."
Oh, I like the song. Don't get me wrong. It's just the execution of it. I think that it, that's a song that would work a lot better live.
Oh yeah.
Video version.
Oh yeah.
But you can say that about so much of what McCartney stuff of the 70s was like. You know, you listen to Wings Over America, and some of my favorite songs of his are live,
Yeah.
like Letting Go.
Yeah, a lot of people say
Yes.
that too. I've never been a big live guy.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, some of them songs I like live. Let's say "Show Me the Way" by Peter Frampton. I like better
Yeah.
live. I mean, there's some I like better live. But when it comes to Paul and the other Beatles, I don't think they're really Sing the Changes. I like better live
Yes,
from Paul.
I agree.
I don't know what it is about that, but I still like the record of Letting Go, for example, better. I know
Mhm.
a lot of people say they prefer the live, although there's audience involvement. Or this when they say, "Do you feel like letting go?" All that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff.
I don't
But
know.
I like yeah, whatever.
He's
Mhm.
so good in the studio. It's like for years to me, Venus and Mars Rock Show. How can you top the studio recording of that? Yeah, I really love the way he did it live and
Me
mixing that
too.
going right into Jet the way he did.
But that's really almost made for live,
Tailor made
Yeah.
for live.
tailor made.
Yep, love it.
Hmm. Yeah, it was written for that reason.
Mhm.
Okay, so Can't Find the Left Bank I thought was really a catchy song, and really I think that it would have helped London Town sell even better. Um, Beware My Love. There's another case of a song where I don't know whether I like the live version better than the studio one, but
No.
that was the B-side, a B-side
Right.
to Let Him In. I mean, come on. I listened to rock radio at the time in New York, WPLJ. They played Beware My Love all the time. It's a big album cut, Beware My Love.
Yeah.
And that deserved something better than being a B-side. There should have been a third single from Speed of Sound, no doubt about it. And you can't deny the success of Silly Love Songs, and Let 'Em In was a big hit at number 3. So, you know, there's no disputing there that those two singles did very well, but there could have been a third single. And I definitely would have picked Beware My Love. Very hard to pick Ringo, not because of whether I like the songs or not, but just because of the fact that radio stopped playing him after A Dose of Rock and Roll, which wasn't that big a hit. It only went to 26 on the charts. But, you know, if I had to pick anything from the late 70s, maybe Hard Times from Bad Boy, which I think is a catchy song, a very simple song, works for Ringo, a few listens and you're used to it. And love the live version on the Bad Boy TV special as well. You know, it's oozing in its simplicity as a song, but yet there's nothing wrong with that because it works for Ringo. That's the most important thing of all.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick something from Ringo, and you know, I picked Hard Times. As much as
I
I
love that song.
what's that?
I mean, I love that song.
Yeah.
Anyway, but again, I keep some 45s in my collection. I know I have, and I can see all these portrait ones, Lipstick Traces. I
Uh-huh.
see Hard Times written on it. I don't know if it's a B side of Lipstick
I think
Or a
Traces.
European country or a European single.
No, I think these are U.S. singles from Portrait.
I
I
have to
think.
remember because we had Lipstick Traces in the US first. The second single was Heart on My Sleeve. I
Who
think
Needs a
Who
Heart
Needs a
was on
Heart
maybe.
was a B-side,
Oh,
I think
okay.
on the first one. I'm not remembering Heart on My Sleeve, but
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out because I just keep seeing these
oh,
Portrait singles, which I get at my local record store or usually or someplace when I
right.
find them, and you know, it's not the UK whole; it's the US.
Yeah. But I'm
But I
now
think part of the
remembering Old Timer Lovin' was a B-side.
okay, yeah, I remember that seeing that too. See, I see all these B side, A side,
Right.
but I think the problem with Ringo is that a lot of this stuff, if it's a problem, I mean, they made decent choices for singles, A Dose of Rock and Roll.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they were decent choices. They just didn't do anything, with the
Or
singles.
or
That's why I didn't
promoted
have too many to pick.
properly.
I wouldn't have
Seems like they
picked
picked
Hey Baby,
Yeah, I
Hey
would.
Baby.
place, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
all right. A song that Joe mentioned. I think you might have mentioned. No, I don't think you mentioned it, but If You Believe, I put
Yeah.
in there. And it's a song that's very near and dear to me because it is about, you know, building up confidence and when the world lets you down, believing in yourself. And it is a very catchy song. And you do need some mid-tempo songs, up-tempo songs from George. They can't all be laid back.
Right.
You know, and great slide guitar work, dual parts that he plays of the slide guitar notes. And it's like 3 minutes long. As soon as you've heard it, you want to hear it again. And that's something that's important when you're trying to pick a single. Wrote that one with Gary Wright, as a matter of fact.
Mr. Dream Believer.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I said Mr. Dream Weaver.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Love is Alive too.
Yeah.
There's just so many here.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
you want to pick a last one, and there's so many that you guys have mentioned that I said, oh yeah, I should put that in. But I also went with Big Barn Bed. Because Big Barn Bed is another song that, again, it's so catchy. Who's that coming around that corner? You know, it's such a good opening track. It's
Yeah.
remember instantly. He did it on the James Paul McCartney TV special. He opened with that on the James Paul McCartney TV special. And again, if it wasn't for Live and Let Die, who knows if we would have had a second single. But that was one that Paul had started writing during the Ram sessions, as we do know. He was part of Ram on Reprise. But very catchy, great harmony work. Love Henry's lead guitar solo in there. I definitely would have made that a single. I think that could have worked.
Yeah.
You know, Paul was so damn prolific. Ended up with so many great songs, they couldn't all be singles.
Right.
And you know, we all wish we could be managers for the solo Beatles and not these singles.
Right.
Would have done a better job. But then again, let's be grateful for all the success that they did have. You know, it's such an interesting thing when you talk about singles because you know, I like to mention in 1972 you had 3 singles from Wings with no album. No album released at all. And they were just standalone singles.
They still went top 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all made the top 40.
Every song Paul released in the 70s ended up going top 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless you count something like Seaside Woman.
Well, no, because that would have been Susie and the Red Stripes. So.
Yeah, but it was Wings.
True, but you know,
Under a different
Actually.
yes, yeah, exactly. Let's be
A
specific.
lot of
here
it was
now.
on. A lot of it was on the strength of the name in the early years. I believe it.
Yep.
Yeah, but then
believe
again,
that.
you notice that after Paul dropped the Paul McCartney and Wings, which he did for Venus and Mars,
By then, he was established. He was
yeah,
established.
but still, he didn't have to use it.
Well, I still think, like you said earlier, I've said this in past shows we've done, like Wildlife or something like that. I mean, people were curious in the beginning to see what's Paul going to do. What's, you know, I mean, good. Look, great albums. All things must pass. Great, you know, great albums. The early ones, you know, imagine. But I think like something like they're doing so well on the charts, like something considering Wildlife doing as well as it did. I think that was part of it. I think it was McCartney. He wasn't. His name wasn't on it, the cover, but they knew. You know, you knew it was going to be Paul McCartney by then in the papers and stuff and on the
Right.
radio. But I really think that. Like, I think if an album like that had come out later, maybe it wouldn't have done as well.
Hmm.
By later, I mean 79,
Yeah.
80, maybe something like that.
Well, you don't really know. But the thing is that in the 70s, when a lot of the solo Beatles stuff was played on top 40 radio, it's important to know that there are a lot of little kids listening that didn't know who these guys were before they put out the solo music. Yes, there were little kids who heard It Don't Come Easy that didn't know that Ringo was a Beatle, or heard Imagine and didn't know John Lennon was a Beatle, and heard
Uncle Albert.
and Uncle Albert, yes. You know,
I mean, I love that. That's my number one kiddie song. I say kiddie song. You know, like in your example, 9 years old, and you know, I love that song on the radio. I mean, I knew it was Paul from the Beatles. I found out eventually, you know. But
Every time you guys say on the radio, Donna Summer just keeps popping into my mind.
Good song.
On the radio.
Yeah, exactly. But Cafe on the Left Bank, I tend to agree with you, Ken. I think it's a stronger song than London Town. I think it probably could have been a big hit in Europe too. I mean, just with
Yeah.
But then I've had enough too. You look at same sessions, right? You look at a song like Girl School and I've had enough, and and you just feel like these guys are capable of doing a ballsy song,
Yeah.
and and then you wonder, okay, how would have Girl School fit on London Town rather than I've had enough, would it
I've had enough is great, and it's just as it is.
It's on London Town. It's wings. It's sold.
And it's rare that
Shut
I'm the
up.
one saying this. You guys are like, it's not so good. You guys saying it. I'm over there fighting for it.
It's
That's
the bloody
rare.
wings. It's sold. Shut up.
But it sounds good. It would have been a hell of a single of a top 40 single. I think they should have put it as that, not a B-side. It was a B-side, right?
Yeah, it was a B-side. Cafe on the Left Bank. Cafe on the Left Bank. Wasn't that?
No, I've had enough.
I had enough was an A-side. That was
What I'm saying, I've had enough.
Cut this part. You cut this part out.
I don't know how to edit, Joe. None of us are perfect. Okay. But I've had enough went to 25 on the charts, and
there you go. So there.
following a number one single, he could have done better. I do think Cafe on the Left Bank would have been a better choice.
I love that song. I always mention that all the time. Whenever people say, "What do you want Paul to do in concert?" That's like one of the first ones that comes out. Cafe on the Left Bank.
Yeah, I think I told the story before, but the one time Paul played the Mean Fiddler in England, and I just happened to be there. The only time I ever went to England on vacation, and as soon as the plane landed, I heard that he was doing a show there, and I did everything I could to get tickets. I was there in the club. Everybody was like sardines. You couldn't move. My feet were in the same spot for 2 hours. And I do remember while Paul's doing the show, which was half acoustic, half electric, getting ready for Unplugged, somebody in the back was yelling, "Cafe on the Left Bank." Paul,
that was me.
His face. That was me. Paul made this face like, "Why would you request that?" It's a great song, and I think it would have worked very well.
Yeah.
So
was that 5, Ken, or was
I did say my 5?
Okay.
Cafe on the Left Bank, Beware My Love, Hard Times, If You Believe, and Big Barn Bed.
Yeah. Hard Times 2 is a track I could see, a single here in the States for Ringo. Again, would have done anything, who knows, but I can also see that being released as a single.
And also, I'm just going to mention one other one, and I'm kind of surprised that nobody mentioned this, but this was also a B-side here. Too Many People.
Yeah.
I thought about that. That
Catchy.
was one of my finalists.
The B-side of Uncle Albert. It could have stood by itself as a hit.
Huh.
I think so.
And one that I have on my list from John that I thought everybody was going to mention, maybe it's not single worthy, was I Know. I thought people might like it. And I'm thinking, but I didn't mention it, and nobody else did either. So maybe
it's just
the end though goes on a little bit too repetitious.
False ending.
Yeah.
But I always bring up Out the Blue and I Know as favorites of mine from Mind Games.
Right.
But if I could pick a second single from Mind Games, I'd pick Intuition.
Sure. Oh, sure.
I think so. Start side
Which I
2.
totally forgot about when we did that. I'm thinking of this exercise. It didn't come to me.
I think that Out the Blue and I Know are better songs, but as a single, I think Intuition could have worked. But anyway, these were all interesting choices, and I'd love to know what all you guys watching would pick.
Yeah.
Send as many suggestions as possible. You can pick on us, say, Ken, you were wrong in your choice on Hard Times. Definitely pick on Tom if you can.
Yes, please. I'll take it. Please.
He loves the beat.
Bring it on.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you for having us back, Ken.
Oh, this was fun.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should do this on the 80s, but as I pointed out, in our show, radio was gradually phasing out the
Yeah.
solo Beatles, although Paul still managed to have hits through Spies Like Us, which went top 10 as
Top
you
10.
get older. Although, hey, George still had Got My Mind Set on You.
I was gonna say George was still getting radio airplay.
Mm,
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could do this on the 80s. Maybe
Yeah,
sometime
maybe
in
we
the
should.
future.
You
maybe.
can do it.
Mhm.
You could do it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kit and Tom and Joe, for doing this.
Pleasure.
Thanks to all of you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to Talk More Talk
Yeah.
and to Two Legs and to me,
And
Mr.
to meet Mr. Mayo.
Yes. And go live in Kit's Yellow Submarine for a while. If you
It's very happy here.
Is there a hole in your pocket?
That's right.
have the hole.
Don't press the button, kid.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on, and
Thank
you
you.
all for watching. And we'll see you next time.